Front Row Rugby. Interviews with rugby legends with Peter Stemmet.
Today, you are going to get a special front row seat to the memorable Springbok career of 1995 World Cup winner Gavin Johnson. Gavin, welcome to Front Row Rugby.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Gavin, before you and I begin our conversation, let's take a look at this week's trivia question. Name the team that ended the Springboks' record run of 17 consecutive test wins in 1998. Now, if you know the answer to the question, you can put it in the comment section down below. We'll also find out if Gavin knows the answer, but we'll do that at the end of our conversation. Gavin, I want to begin our chat in 1993. Talk to me about how you were feeling ahead of your test debut against Argentina.
It was a wonderful memory because I'd been over in England with the South African Barbarians team, and which we did very well in, actually. We won all 8 of our games in England, and we had one game to go, and our team manager called me in the hotel and said, "Gavin, congratulations, you've been called up to join the Boks in Argentina." So I actually didn't start that tour. I only joined it later on. There was I think one midweek game to go at a place called Rosario. And then I played in the third test, and it was, I suppose, quite surreal when you don't. It doesn't. The realization of actually going to play for the Boks now doesn't quite hit you until afterwards. But yeah, what a very special time in my life, and what a great privilege, and yeah, the thought of going to play my first test for the Boks was just absolutely amazing.
And you scored 22 points in that match as well. We won quite handsomely. What a way to announce yourself.
We actually played really well in that game. It was, very special. I managed to score a very nice try in that game. The team played well. As a team, we managed to move the ball around nicely, so there was actually some very nice open running rugby, which I really enjoy. So the ball moved out nicely to the backs. Interplay with the forwards and the backs was amazing, and there were some wonderful opportunities created in the backs. And so it was a very nice game, actually. We scored lots of tries, and I managed to score 22 points in the first game. That was amazing. Yeah.
Gavin, I remember watching you in the Currie Cup that year, 1993, and you were actually excellent for Transvaal, if I may say so. What were your hopes at that stage?
Well, it was amazing to have hit the provincial rugby scene, getting into the A side, because I'd come from Pretoria. I'd played for Harlequins for 5 years, and managed to get into the Northerns B team. And then in 1992, I left Harlequins and started playing for Pirates in Johannesburg. And I was invited to the Transvaal squad training, and that year played in the Transvaal B team. And then in '93, when Kitch Christie started coaching Transvaal, he invited me to the Transvaal squad training, and that's how it was a build-up from there. It was actually interesting. I'd injured my shoulder very badly in '92, and had quite a major shoulder operation, and even had thoughts of not even playing again. And then at the start of the '93 season, early in January, when everyone started training again, Kitch Christie got hold of me and said, "Gavin, we want you to come to the Transvaal squad training." And I said, "Well, Coach, I'm not even sure that I'm going to be able to play, because my shoulder's in a sling right now, and I'm wondering if I should even carry on with the game. And he said, well, why don't you just, come and just start running with a team and, with a squad. And let's see how it goes. We'll slowly, work on your shoulder. We'll start bumping the tackle bag slowly and use shoulder pads and so on, just to get your confidence going again. And so it was a bit of a process. But then what happened was amazing. My shoulder recovered very well, and I became part of the squad. And then there was opportunity to start playing in the A side, because some of the Springboks in our team were away doing Springbok duty, and that opened the door for me to get into the A side. And so that was the first time that I actually started playing, provincial rugby being in the A team, which was fantastic and a very interesting story, actually. My very first game, Currie Cup game for Transvaal, was at Ellis Park, and the game was against the Free State. And I'd been picked at fullback, and a guy by the name of Cameron Oliver, I'm sure the rugby guys in the rugby world will remember Cameron. He was an amazing flyhalf, a very good rugby player. And him and a scrum half called Steph Nell. They were the scrum half and flyhalf that were picked for this game on the Saturday. And they went off to Sun City on the Friday, and very sadly got killed in a motor car accident that day, the very day before the game. And I think it was that evening, Kitch Christie phoned me and said, Gavin, we've had this disaster, and we're moving you from fullback to fly-half for tomorrow's game. Yeah, so that was just out of the blue. And so that's how I played probably my first 10 or so games for Transvaal at fly-half.
Gavin, we spoke about your memorable debut against Argentina in Buenos Aires. So after that, into 1994, the first 2 tests against England, as well as the first 2 tests against the All Blacks. And I know that you went on that tour to New Zealand, but you missed those 4 test matches. How disappointing was that?
It was disappointing because 93 was an amazing year for me, getting into the Transvaal team, and the Transvaal team did so well. And so, getting injured so that I couldn't go on those tours was very disappointing. But I'm grateful because my knee started wearing this knee brace. First of all, I had an operation, started wearing this big blue knee brace, and started playing again, and got fit and match fit again. And then amazingly, I got the call up to join the team in New Zealand, and that was amazing. It was just amazing grace that I got the call up and the opportunity. And so when I got there, there was one test to go. There was one midweek game to go, and which was against Bay of Plenty, and then the 3rd test at Eden Park. And so I played in those 2 games, and that's how I got to be back in the team. It was just opportunity. Huh?
I've had quite a few former Springboks on the show that told me that New Zealand tour was the toughest one that they had ever been on. But given that you were only there for a short period of time, I'd be very interested to hear how you experienced New Zealand.
Well, we'd been over to New Zealand lots for years because of started off as Super 10, which became Super 12, and so we were going over to Australia and New Zealand to play often. So we had an idea of what it was like to play in New Zealand, but to be playing against the All Blacks for me, arriving right at the end of that tour. Sheepers, it was a significant moment in my life and in my rugby career to end up playing against the All Blacks was the ultimate for me. I only ever played one game against the All Blacks because I played in total. I only played 7 tests for South Africa and maybe about 20 tour games. So that was, obviously really a very special day for me. And standing in front of those All Blacks and watching them do the haka was a real moment for me. It took me back to my youth when I was actually, watching this haka. It was like I went back into the lounge of the home that I grew up in with my mom and dad and my brothers. And it was as if I was watching this game on TV back in the lounge back home, And so it was a very weird sort of feeling and moment to be watching the All Blacks live right in front of me. But yeah, it was great.
And we ended up drawing that test match. A lot of people say that we really should have won that day. What do you say?
A couple of things. There was a kick early on in the game, a penalty kick that I should have got. But I must admit that the nerves got to me on that kick. But yeah, we actually played really well in that game. And we gave away 1 or 2 penalties as well that we shouldn't have. There were a couple of one particular naughty boy in our team who had a bit of a scuffle with Sean Fitzpatrick that shouldn't have happened and gave a penalty away. But overall, we played really well. And we drew the game, but I would say that was a game we could have won and actually should have won.
You played on the wing in that test match. Remember, you made your debut at fullback, and we referenced the Currie Cup in 1993, where I said you were excellent playing at fly half for Transvaal. Given your versatility, I'd be very interested to hear what was your favourite position.
Yeah, fullback was definitely my favourite position. I got picked on the wing, I would say, probably because my goal kicking became quite important, and I did have quite good speed. My pace was okay, but it was never that extra yard of pace that a real fast winger would have. My speed as a rugby player was okay. But it wasn't the speed of a winger. And so when I played wing, it was a little challenging for me because I never felt that I had that extra yard of pace. And I preferred playing fullback because I was more comfortable there because that was my natural position. And I enjoyed the anticipation of the game from the position of fullback. So yeah, playing wing in that game was challenging. I played against a guy called John Timu. He was a very good player, very quick and very nippy, and you had to really watch him. So yeah, I coped playing wing, but it was never my favorite position.
After that New Zealand tour, Ian McIntosh was sacked as coach. What was your opinion of him as a coach?
I really enjoyed Ian McIntosh, and I'm actually really sorry that he did get sacked because I loved his passion. I loved the way that he got involved in our training sessions. He was, technically he was very good. And he was very hands-on in the training, and he created a wonderful atmosphere of excitement for us to, play together and be a real team, and install that real sense of belief that we were absolutely able to win, because he was just so passionate about the game and was so positive about us as players that we were able to always win and be amazing on the field. So Ian McIntosh to me was just a wonderful bloke. Absolutely loved his enthusiasm for the game. And he'll always be a special memory to us. Very sad that he's recently passed away.
Absolutely. In fact, I stand corrected, but I think that I may have actually done the last interview with Ian McIntosh on this channel. And I'll actually put a link up here for people who would like to go and watch that video. Gavin, Ian McIntosh sacked. Kitch Christie came in to replace him. You're in the test match for the first one in charge under Kitch at fullback against Argentina. But then you missed the second test. You went on the tour to the UK at the end of 1994, but you didn't play in any of the test matches. How disappointing was that?
It's always disappointing not to be in the team, just to be on the bench. But that's how it is. If there's a guy who's on form and playing better and makes the team, you just got to respect that, and that's just how it was. But always very disappointing to sit on the bench. That was it was horrible. But that's how it is.
And then in 1995, before the Rugby World Cup began, we played a warm-up test match against Western Samoa, as they were still called in those days, at Ellis Park. We gave them a hiding. You scored a hat-trick of tries playing at fullback. How confident were you at that stage that you were going to be the starting fullback at the World Cup?
I think as a player, you're always up for it. You absolutely believe that you can play, and there's no reason why you shouldn't be in the team. And at that stage, I was playing well. That game against Western Samoa was an amazing game. We had basically the full World Cup team of 95, so it was great to be playing in a very good team. And we played well on that night, and it was amazing that I got the opportunity to score, 3 tries. And so that's another very special game in my life that I remember. So I was playing well, but sadly, as you know, in that game, I ended up picking up an injury. And right towards the end of the game, it was actually a try that I scored, the third try, and got injured there. And that actually did have a bit of an effect on me after that.
Gavin, I've heard conflicting stories about this, so you can correct me if I'm wrong. My understanding is that for that World Cup, Kitch had a green team and a gold team. The idea being that the green team would play in the biggest matches, the gold team played against Romania and Canada in the pool stage, for example. You played against the Romanians. I'd like to hear from you, because we did struggle to actually overcome them, but just in terms of yourself, your own personal point of view, how difficult is it playing against a team like Romania and Canada when you know that you're unlikely to feature in the bigger matches?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing to talk about, because it's true that when you're playing a weaker team, that you don't get as excited about it, I suppose. I think it's a psychological thing that is actually very difficult to overcome. When you're playing the big teams, and it's just so much easier to naturally be more excited and worked up for it. The adrenaline is just flows a lot better, and that you've got to get up for it. You've got to be right on top of your game. Whereas just naturally, psychologically, when you're playing a weaker team, it just seems to be, no matter how you try to tell yourself you must just play as you normally do, as if you're playing the greatest team in the world. Sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. And actually, we played badly against Romania. Oh, it was horrible. And we played badly as a team. I played badly as an individual. Wasn't a great day at all.
Gavin, The floor is yours. Describe the Battle of Boet Erasmus.
That was it was yes, it was a hectic game because there was all sorts of aggression that broke out. James Dalton, yeah, he got into such trouble, and Peter Hendricks, unfortunately, it was a great pity that he was put out on that because of that game. It was, an obvious tactic from Canada that they were going to come out and be very, very aggressive. And, the Springboks have always risen to the occasion when someone takes them on physically. And even when it comes to a bit of aggression and a bit of boxing, the guys don't stand back. And so it ended up becoming a very feisty game. And I'm just grateful in the end, even after all the drama with the lights and all of that going out, that we managed to pull the game off. And sadly, I got concussed in that game. I was playing wing in that game, and I got taken out properly, and I picked up a bit of concussion in that game. It wasn't too bad though, because I was able to stay on and play in the next game. I think it was against Western Samoa after that. It was a very tough game, but we rose to the occasion as the Boks side.
As you say, Western Samoa were next in the quarterfinals. You played in that match. Andre Joubert actually got injured quite badly. It was his hand. I think it was Mike Umaga who had tackled him quite ferociously. I'd be interested to hear, Gavin, did you think at that stage that there was a chance that you might be called upon for the semi-final?
Yeah, yes and no. They immediately worked on sorting Andre out, so I think we kind of knew that they were doing all that they could to make sure that he could play. And Andre was in absolute top form at that stage in that World Cup. He was absolutely amazing, and really on the day and for the occasion, he was the man for the job because of his form at the time. And so it was very good and the right thing, that they did all that was possible to get his hand sorted out and to make sure that he could play. You do, obviously, I did wonder what was going to happen, if it would be a possibility, but it didn't work out that way, and that's okay. And I'm quite happy actually that that he was okay to play.
That said, how disappointed were you not to play in the World Cup final?
It's horrible. Being on the bench is horrible for me. It was just really not nice. You wanted to be in the starting team. You wanted to be on the field. And when you at that stage where you've been picked for your country, and you've been fine-tuned, and you conditioned to play the game, you're fit and you're strong and you're up for it, so you've always got that belief that you could absolutely be on the field and you could be playing. And so sitting on the bench is just like losing out on the action.
Nevertheless, what does it feel like when the referee blows the final whistle and you are a rugby world champion?
It is amazing, because I was able to be part of an amazing team, an amazing occasion. It was a privilege. So I played 3 of the games in the 95 World Cup, and then I was on the bench for the game against Australia and the French, and then the final against the All Blacks. I was on the bench. It's interesting that I never came onto the field as a reserve in those 3 games. which is quite amazing actually. And but very interestingly, the way it worked out in the end, that I played exactly 7 test matches for South Africa, is actually quite significant, because it turns out that because I've become a radical believer in Christ. Okay, I'm very serious about Christianity, and I believe that the Lord showed me in so many amazing ways, using the number 7, how he'd answered various prayers in my life and done amazing things for me in life. And so at the end of my rugby career, I end up with exactly 7 test matches for South Africa. And so if I'd gone on from the bench, if I'd gone on just for a minute in any one of those games, the Australia game, the French game, or the All Black game in the final, it would have given me an extra test match, okay? And they would have taken me off this number 7. And so like I'm saying, the Lord really revealed to me later on that my prayers, my hopes and dreams, and the desires of my heart to play rugby for South Africa, he absolutely answered them with exactly 7 test matches.
Oh, that's a wonderful story, Gavin. Thank you for sharing that. We spoke a little bit earlier about your versatility as a player, fly half, wing, fullback. Do you think that perhaps, especially in those days, that it almost worked against you in the sense that a coach typically didn't know what to do with you?
Yeah, I suppose in a way it did actually work against me. I loved playing fly half right through my school days and my 2 years of national service when I played for the Air Force, and then my early days of club rugby and so on. I always played fly half and really enjoyed it. I loved being in that position to be able to direct the game. Be it a kick or time to run and pass or whatever it was. Being the general at number 10, I loved dictating the game from there, and I had the skills for it. But as time went on, I started realizing that I was probably a little tall and a little bit lanky to be at number 10, and so physically, I think fullback was probably the better position for me. And so when I was moved there, I was actually a little grumpy at first. It happened when I was playing for Harlequins, and the coach, for the first time, I remember when I was moved from fly half to fullback, I thought, cheapers, I've been downgraded here, and I was very upset about it. But it was absolutely the right thing to do. And as time went on, I realized that was the position for me. So I ended up really enjoying playing fullback. I think one of the reasons why I probably got to play on the wing a few times is because our coaches probably felt that I had enough pace, and I had the rugby skills and so on. But the goal kicking became quite a factor, because it turns out that my goal kicking was pretty good. My percentage success rate was pretty good, and I think that became a factor, that I was able to be the goal kicker in the team if I could play on the wing, So I agree with you. I think it shot me in the foot a little bit, the fact that I was fairly versatile.
So who was your toughest opponent?
I remember once playing a game at wing directly against Jonah Lomu. It was a Super 12 game at Ellis Park, and it was horrible. I had to make sure that he never got any momentum, because, as we all know, when he picked up momentum, he was a very difficult man to stop. And especially when you were facing him head on, And so my decision was that whenever the ball came to him, that as he got the ball, that I was going to be onto him so that he could never pick up any momentum. And so it took all the fun out of my game. All I had to do was concentrate on making sure that I was on him as he got the ball, and never got to play my own game. So it was a horrible game, and he was a massive man, and I suppose a privilege to have played against a legend like that. But yeah, just the sheer size of the man, and the arm like a baobab tree, and legs, my goodness, yeah, he was really a big, strong man and fast. So yeah, I'd say that was probably the most difficult.
Gavin, is there a particularly funny moment that you can share with us from your time with the Springboks?
Yeah, there was one time, a very funny, I suppose if I think back now, when we were traveling on the bus, there were often, stories that the guys started, sharing. And one of the stories was so funny. I was sitting behind James Dalton and Hannes Strydom. They started talking about developing shampoo that would be able to make their hair grow. Okay, and if you know James Dalton, he's really a very funny guy, and he loves telling stories, and he's got a wild imagination. And so he came up with the most descriptive stories of how him and Hannes were going to use this shampoo, and how they were going to grow their hair long, and what they were going to look like, and what they were going to get up to. It was absolutely hilarious, and they had the whole bus in stitches of laughter. And so there were times like that when the guys came up with really funny stories when we were traveling on the bus that are wonderful memories.
I could just imagine. Gavin, let me ask you, is there a current player who you particularly admire?
I think Andre Pollard is an amazing player for me. Yeah, his skill has been amazing. His ball skills, running, passing, his defense is amazing. He's really got BMT. I mean, if you look at the games that he's played in and what he's achieved, and when you look carefully at moments in the various games that he's played where he really had to come through and step up, and mostly he has done it. And so I particularly think that Andre Pollard is an amazing player.
And what are you up to these days?
These days I'm a farmer. When I stopped playing rugby, I went and built a tourism lodge on the banks of the Zambezi in Western Zambia, and I did tourism there for 20 years with my wife, and we've got 3 daughters. Our 3 daughters grew up there, and it was really amazing, the fun of building this amazing safari camp in a very beautiful environment, and creating a little business out of nothing in the middle of nowhere. And then I enjoyed the hospitality side of it. People coming in to spend their holidays with us, and coming to enjoy the Zambezi and the fishing and the birding and the walks on the banks of the river there is absolutely amazing. And so I really enjoyed that for a long time. But then about 4 years ago, my dad asked me to come and take over our family farm here on the Soutpansberg Mountains, overlooking Louis Trichardt. And so I actually went back to my roots, because I grew up on a farm, and so now I've ended up back on a farm, and I really enjoy it. I've had the privilege of living in the outdoors for most of my life. It was only during my rugby career that I was in the city in Pretoria and Joburg, and then my last 2 years for Saracens in London. before I retired in 99. But then from there, I was straight back to the bush. And even while I was playing rugby, when I met my wife, Penny, I just expressed how important it was that she understands that we weren't going to live in the city, that we were going to head off into the bush somewhere. And unfortunately, she was happy with that. And actually, we made an amazing life in Zambia. And she's just been a champion in my life. And I'm very grateful for that. So I lived in this amazing environment in Western Zambia. And now I live on this beautiful farm on the Soutpansberg. And so I get to enjoy this beautiful environment every day. We do macadamia farming here, and we're about to get stuck into quite an extensive cattle project here. But so I live quite an active lifestyle. I don't sit in an office at all. I'm out there on the farm every day. And what's nice in coming back from Zambia, I'm able to spend more time with my family now, my dad and my brothers. I see them more often and their families. So, yeah, I'm really enjoying living on this farm here on the mountain.
Sounds very enjoyable. Gavin, let's take a look again at the trivia question. Name the team that ended the Springboks' record run of 17 consecutive test wins in 1998. Do you know the answer, Gavin?
Jeepers, I think it was England.
And you would be exactly right. 100%. Gavin, congratulations. Well done. You have got the right answer.
Yeah, Shane. There was a great pity that actually, yeah, great pity. They were going so well.
It would have been great to have won an 18th one, but, such is life, as they say. Gavin, let me say, it was lovely having you on Front Row Rugby today. An absolute pleasure, and I hope that we can have you on again in the future.
Wonderful. Thanks, Peter. I've enjoyed the chat. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed that video, why not tackle the like button? You can also subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any content from Front Row Rugby. See you next time.
Front Row Rugby. Interviews with rugby legends with Peter Stemmet.